Good morning, everyone. For the record, my name is Danny Smythe. I'm the Chief of Police. Is everyone more or less ready to go?
Yeah.
So I'm here to provide an update regarding the transit assault that occurred overnight. Police responded to the report of an assault that occurred on Dafoe Road on the University of Manitoba campus at approximately 1:55 this morning. The assault involved a transit driver and a passenger that was on the bus. The driver, identified as 58-year-old Irvine FRASER, was seriously injured and transported to hospital in critical condition. I'm sorry to report that Mr. FRASER succumbed to his injuries. This is now a homicide investigation. I'd like to extend my condolences to the FRASER family. Our officers will remain in contact with them throughout the investigation. So I can confirm that a male suspect has been taken into custody. Police responded to the scene within moments of the attack. Witnesses were able to direct police to the Red River, which runs adjacent to the U of M campus. The suspect was trying to cross the river. A canine unit member was able to apprehend the suspect before he crossed the river to the St. Vital side. The suspect was then taken into custody and turned over to major crimes investigators. So as of this morning, no criminal charges have been laid. I expect to have additional information for you at a subsequent briefing. I would like to acknowledge the efforts of the canine member involved in the arrest. After securing the suspect into custody, the member returned to the river in an attempt to locate and preserve evidence. And while venturing out onto the river, he fell through the ice. With the assistance of other emergency members on scene, he was safely rescued. And I think the quick thinking actions of our members on the scene prevented this from becoming even a worse tragedy. This investigation is ongoing, and as I said, I expect to have more information at a subsequent briefing, but I think it was important to try to get some information out as soon as we could this morning.
Chief, do you know what led to this incident? Was it an altercation of some sort, an argument, a robbery? Do we know?
We don't know yet. Certainly we're allowing the investigators to do their job. As we know, most transit buses have recordings. It'll be up to our investigators to try to review what occurred prior to the assault.
Did the attack happen on the bus, outside the bus? Can you say, Chief?
I don't know exactly yet. Certainly, we know the passenger was on the bus, but I don't know the details of the attack, whether it occurred on or off the bus. I expect that kind of information will come out subsequent once the investigation has had a chance to review some of the recordings that are out there.
It seemed police were on scene very quickly. Did the passenger call 911 or?
Yeah, certainly a call for service came into our comm center. Fortunately, we had a member very nearby.
Were there other passengers on the bus at the time?
To my knowledge, there were no, my understanding this was on campus close to 2 in the morning. It was the end of the line. So basically, I'm led to believe it was just the driver and the lone passenger.
Was there a weapon found at the scene, and what kind?
I don't know that kind of detail. And again, I expect we'll have more information once the investigators have an opportunity to do their job.
Do we know if it was a knife or what kind of?
What I can tell you is the injuries sustained by the driver were consistent with an edged weapon, but we don't know what kind of weapon, specifically what kind of weapon.
And you might not know this either, but was this passenger already on the bus, or were they getting onto the bus?
My understanding, the passenger was on the bus.
So already, and then something happened?
Yeah.
22-year-old suspect, do we know if he's a student at U of M?
No, I don't know anything about the suspect yet, and I'm really not in a position to talk about the suspect at this point. Assuming that investigators gather enough to lay charges, we will certainly provide you more background on the suspect.
This is a very rare occurrence. I mean, transit drivers in Canada are not killed while they're on shift. Is there any sort of public safety concerns that have been raised, and what do you say to the public?
I think that our transit safety here in Winnipeg and across the country is good. I would agree this is a rare instance. I think it's important for the investigators to have some time to determine what happened so that we can put this into context. I don't have that information yet. I expect that, at a subsequent briefing, we'll be able to put this into better context.
But are you able to say if it was a random attack or?
I wouldn't say it was random. I don't know what you mean by random.
Did they
Clearly,
not-
we had a driver and a passenger that were alone on the bus. I don't know what led up to the confrontation. That's yet to be determined
You
yet.
don't know, if it's not clear if the driver knew the suspect.
Don't know that at all yet.
And Chief, over the last few years, there's been a lot of safety upgrades through City Hall and the police with transit. Police have been, cadets and undercover officers have been, I guess, doing spot rides on buses. Do you have an idea of how many times, I don't know, a month, a week, officers or cadets are on board?
I don't have that information with me today. I certainly will be prepared to give you that at a subsequent briefing. I don't know, I think it's important that we find out what the circumstances were on this event before we start venturing. And I know that this will spark debate over transit safety here in the city, but I think before we go there, I think it's important that the investigation, the investigators do their job to determine the circumstances of this event.
When you say
speak to the
subsequent, you're,
difficult- Can you speak to the difficulties of the crimes, of part of the crime scene being on the river there, when you have to go and investigate out the?
Well, normally I would have said it wouldn't have been a big issue, but now that a member has fallen through the ice, certainly some caution will have to, go into how they're going to be able to search onto the river in the same path that the suspect took.
How long was the pursuit that we're looking at here? The call was at 5 to 2, and then?
I don't think it was very long. Certainly within moments we were on scene. There were witnesses on the campus that were able to direct our member. Of course, the river runs adjacent to campus, so it's literally a block off of Dafoe Road. So it would be fairly close, and certainly he hadn't crossed over yet. So clearly they were on scene within a moment or two.
It says here the bus driver was at the end of his route, so was he attacked on the bus or off the bus?
I don't know what led up to the attack, so I don't want to venture into that yet. We know that it was the end of his route. It was almost 2 in the morning. Again, investigators need to review the footage that would have been captured on the bus.
If we could, I think we'll just take one more question if someone has one.
well, I just was gonna ask you, you say subsequent information will be released, are you talking today?
A lot of it will depend on the timeline for the investigators. They've had this person in custody since the early morning hours. I'm really not in a position to talk about the investigation, until they've had a chance to investigate further and try to determine what's occurred.
Have you ever been involved in the death of a bus driver in Winnipeg? Are you aware of that happening?
No, and I would agree, this is a rare circumstance for a public servant to be involved in a homicide, particularly when they were working. So it's a very rare occurrence.
Can you just talk about your reaction, just how you felt, and because obviously this is a shocking story, so what are your thoughts right now?
Well, of course, it is a shocking story. Anytime a public servant is killed while working, whether that's police, fire, or whether, in this instance, a transit driver. Our heart goes out to all of the public servants that are out there doing their job every day. And we don't think that things like this are going to happen. In terms of the larger public, again, I would say our public safety, our public transit is safe. I ride the bus, my family rides the bus. I don't think one incident is going to change that, but I think it's important for the investigators to find out the circumstances of this particular attack.
Thank you very much.